CanCon, biggest ITC event in Australia, and this is all 40k here, 150 players. There's my setup. Unfortunately, my first round opponent hasn't arrived yet, so I'm getting a bye. And there's another guy that I'll be just playing a friendly against in a couple of minutes. But same building as last year. I think it's going to be a really fun weekend. Alright, so round one, the friendly, I'm versing Jordan and his wonderful tower. We got Hammer and Anvil. As always, whenever I play tower, we're doing Hammer and Anvil, and I'm playing a full melee list. And so I'm hiding behind this thing, and Jordan just called Montcar, and he's advancing everything. Should be interesting. A whole bunch of my armies in reserve. Alrighty, so you just saw the intro there with Jordan. So he and I play the friendly in round one. Because we started about 25 minutes late, we only got, I think it was 3 turns, maybe 4. Yeah, it was 4 turns. It didn't end that well with Jordan. I managed to get him in combat. I think it was turn 3. Yeah, because my 2 grotesque units dropped in, and but didn't make either of their charges, which allowed Jordan another round of firing. But then eventually I hit his lines turn 3, and it wasn't looking too good for our young Jordan. Anyway, I'll quickly go over my list, and then we'll go into round 2. I didn't record the I didn't do a time-lapse recording of the game, just because it was a friendly game, and I didn't think it would be that useful. And you'll see, Jordan and I actually play each other in round 3 on the same table, so you'll get to watch the actual game in action. Anyway, so my list is a variation of the list that I've been playing around with for the last couple of months. Adding in an Eldar battalion. Eldrad is he's just so good for the new points for him. 135 points, +1 to cast, and 3 spells. He's a no-brainer. To me, he's my nickname for him is Smeldrad the Invincible, and I chant his name every time he does good things. And pretty much he did great things except for 1 game, and he died like a punk. But anyway, a couple of ranges, because I really like having snipers in my list nowadays. We've got a small vanguard detachment of Harlequins. Now this little this detachment is my problem solver for 262 points. Sure, I spend 1 CP or 3 CP if my troop master is not the warlord, but those 2 little melee guys are absolute guns. I mean, they cost a bit of CP, but I use them as like Blood Angel smash captains, where they go in and solve problems for me. They're great. The Midnight Sorrow, of course, when you can swing up to 3 times. So you go in, you swing once, 3 CP, swing again. Then if he dies, you swing for another 2 CP. A lot of CP, but when you power up a Solitaire, he can do work. And then good old Prophets of Flesh. We've got the just a normal battalion, urine, etc. Normally, so for the past couple of months and at the ETC, we ran Taluses. Taluses are fantastic. However, I found that in ITC, Taluses were just, I don't know, they were just not that good. They were easy to pick secondaries against. You just go big game on them. The things that Grotesque are weak against, Taluses are really weak against. And with the fly nerfs, where I couldn't get Taluses to charge over terrain, whereas Grotesque being infantry, they can kind of go straight through terrain. I've made that transition to Grotesques. I still think for ETC, Taluses are probably slightly stronger. We'll say 5 to 10% stronger. This is just my guesses, but I really am enjoying Grotesques. They're a bit slower than Taluses because you can't fire and fade them. and to get an extra 7 inches, and grotesques only move 7, whereas taluses move 8. But I really enjoy playing with the grotesques, and it's just always fun, you know, dropping down a big pile of meat. Anyway, we'll jump into the next game, and I can talk a little bit more about the list. Alrighty, round 2, first actual opponent, Lee. You remember him from last year, and he's playing all Harlequins with a small detachment of Aeldari. Big bike, what's that? Big bike units, lots of foot troops. So what's in reserve again?
We've got 1 portal unit, and we've got 1 unit of rangers coming in the web way.
Excellent. And so I've done my big bubble, and then I've got some snipers either side. And Lee made me go first. All right. It was very funny. Just before coming to CanCon, Lee was messaging me asking if I was bringing Harlequins or Dark Eldar, because Lee really wanted to get that. What was it, the ITC best Harlequin player in Australia, which he eventually got. So all the props to him. Anyway, Lee played this game really, really well against me. He used every trick that the Harlequins have, and it's a very hard matchup for him because he can't pretty much engage with the grotesques at all, and he just ignored them, and which is the correct thing to do. He just focused on all the little kills he could, getting kill 1, occasionally getting kill more, never getting score more, because when we're playing just 3 objectives, you're always going to struggle with Harlequins. Now, so talking about this, one of the mistakes I think Lee made, and we talked about this after the game, was he placed his, so it's the one in the center, I placed one in my deployment zone, which is the one closest to me, and then he placed his in the deployment zone, and he put it right in the center. I think this was a bit of a mistake for him, because of how my army is going to be playing, you know, just a big mountain of meat right in the center. It meant that by turn 2, I could be just sitting on all 3 objectives and just scoring 1 and holding more compared to him. And that's pretty much how this game went. So while I didn't necessarily get kill more, or I tried to get kill 1 at least every turn, but I didn't get kill more all turn, and Lee kind of picked away at my stuff. He got all his secondaries and recon and all that type of, all the fun things. I could just... It meant he was always down, in essence, 2 points from, I think it was like turn 3 onwards. Yeah, that was it. So if he had put that his objective right in the corner, either corner really, just to spread it out, it would have made it a little bit more difficult for me to control that much of the table. Sorry, I got very loud birds here. Anyway, turn 1, you also saw my little solitaire diving into his jet bike unit. Because Lee put them right in the middle, I could just do a blitz. And because Lee gave me turn 1, what's it called? Oh yeah, sorry. We both rolled the same amount, but I graciously allowed Lee to put a unit of rangers into his wave serpent to drop his how many drops he had underneath me, so he could get the +1. I thought that was nice of me. Anyway, he got the +1. He gave me first turn, which was the correct move. You definitely want second turn against my army, because there's no benefit to really going first unless you are a really heavy shooting army. All right, it's like every noise in my neighborhood on Earth. Anyway, Solitaire dives in, because I've had first turn, Solitaire dives into his bike unit, because it's not powered up, and even swinging 2 times, so once on the charge and then I died and then swung again, I only killed 2 bikes. So I killed once on the charge, and then once I killed 1 bike after dying. I thought I was actually going to kill that unit, which would have helped. Unfortunately I didn't. And because it was turn 1 and he got kill more, and I didn't get any kills, that put Lee ahead very quickly. So that was a little bit of a mistake. In retrospect, like, you know, I didn't need to, in essence, sacrifice that. I thought it'd be a good opportunity, but it really wasn't. Anyway, so from turn 2 onwards, my game plan is simple. I already described it. My game plan is just to hold the 3 middle. That's it. Minimize the shenanigans that Lee can do. Push him off the 3 middle objectives. Get the bonus. So go get hold 1, hold more, bonus every turn. And from turn 3 onwards, that's what happened. Lee's trying for kill 1, kill more, and slow me down, in essence, spread me out, etc. I didn't take the bait in terms of spreading out. You know, I sent out Aeldari to take care of all these guys in the bottom left. Aeldari kill Harlequins like there's no one's business. Harlequins find it really hard to kill Aeldari. And then through Smite, Executioner, and then Combat, I managed to kill, I think it was almost like 15 Harlequins by just Aeldari by himself. It's absolutely fantastic. The little bit of shooting I did have, I killed a couple of the characters. Altok, as anyone who's played against Altok, definitely hurt. There were some really cool shenanigans that Lee pulled, you know, and all the little Harlequin tricks you can do. But it's, as I said, it's just a really tough matchup. And you can just see, like, my dudes, because I'm running out of time now, my dudes are kind of not really moving anywhere. I'm just sitting on objectives and doing the minimum I need to do just to make sure that he never gets a hold more. That's it. So by turn, I think it's turn 5, I time out. Yeah, I time out on turn 5, and I'm just sitting on things, and it meant that Lee got 2 turns of really just to increase his points, because I think I'm ahead by 7 at the moment, well, at the moment by turn 5 I'm ahead by 7, so there's no way he can actually come back because he's already got all the secondaries, etc. He's looking to just get a hold 1 and a hold. I think he gets a hold more just because he runs for 2 turns a unit of troops onto objectives. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And because I've only got grotesques left, pretty much, he's never going to get a kill one. Like, he's killed all the weak stuff. So pretty much anything that can die. So all the rangers are dead. You know, most of my characters, other than say Urian and the other homunculus. Yeah. So pretty much I've got 3 units of grotesques that haven't been touched, and 2 homunculus coven what's it called, characters. And that's pretty much it. So it's probably turn 5. No, it's turn 3 still. You can see the big dice right in the middle. So right now it's turn 3. But we've only got like 30 seconds left of this video. That means I play through, in the last 5 minutes of my game, 2 whole turns. So, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is Lee now just doing his turns. I'm just making saves. I'm not doing anything at the moment. And yeah, so we end turn 6. Lee got a couple of extra points with a hold 1, and you can see he's now... no, he doesn't actually get hold more. He just gets hold 1 for the middle one. But overall, it was a very, very fun game. Alright, game 3, and I'm versing Jordan again. So we did a friendly in round 1 because we both had buys, and that didn't end that well, for Jordan that is. But we got matched up again, round 3, but this time a different deployment. Same exact table, so this is insane. Same table, same player, different deployment though. And he's learned a bit about my army. So I'm hiding a lot of shit here, objectives are not really that good for me, so we'll see what happens. Alrighty, so game 3, and as you saw in the intro, I'm versing Jordan, and playing the same table, same army, same player, just a different deployment. Deployment and the way the terrain is set up, it makes it a much harder game for me. And I gotta say, apologies in advance for the footage. My camera stand fell over a few times during this tournament, so some of the games, because when it falls over, it sometimes stops recording or it corrupts the file. You'll see me putting sticky tape on the bottom of the bases. Anyway, that happened this game, and so only half the game got captured. Anyway, I'll quickly do a summary. This game was actually worse for Jordan because I managed to make a turn 2 charge. I push up slowly, I hide behind this rock. He pushes up, does his carry on, does a whole bunch of damage. So does his Moncard, does his Kaon. Now, if you just saw here, his, what's it called, the broadsides, that center one manages to get a wound through in my turn 2. And because, so like as in it didn't get passed off to a drone, so 1 wound on that, and Jordan put it on that middle one, which meant once my grotesque unit, which will be dropping in a second, it actually makes its charge, and because he put his wound on that center one, he has to kill that one first. That one dies, and it lets me get a wraparound on one of his broadside units. Sorry, on one of the broadside models, which means now that broadside unit can't fall back, can't charge, and my grotesques can't be hurt. That was pretty much the key to this game. If Jordan had picked either one, like the front one or the back one, it would have been pretty much a different game. The back unit of grotesques doesn't make a 9-inch charge, but the front unit does after I spend the CP reroll. And that's pretty much how that game went, where I make the charge, I wrap around because of the way the wounds were taken, and I'm now just limiting, I'm always piling in and kind of making him have to fall back. And alrighty, round 4 of CanCon versus Michael. He's from Sydney. Haven't played him before, but I'm playing Orks, and we've got lots of tractor cannons, tank busters, big trucks, etc, etc. No looters though, so he's definitely playing slightly different to a lot of other Ork lists here. And we've got all the grots, all the characters, all the snipers. Objective placement, so we're playing mission 4. My first one I put here to bubble out so he couldn't put his second objective here. He placed his first one there. My second one was just on the edge here, and then third one's here. So you can see that we're not using pretty much that part of the table there. We'll do a hammer and anvil and push up. Alright, Michael was a great opponent to play against. This Ork list was very different, and the one thing, as soon as I looked at it, I went, okay, how many looters does Michael have? None? Alright, this will be a fun game. Looters, I don't like looters. Sorry, I don't like versing looters specifically. And unfortunately, Michael, he went for the really cool kind of, what is it called? The big guns. But when you got a 4-up invo, you get a bit spiky on that. It causes very little damage. Now, my camera stand again fell over this round, so we'll be putting what's it called, the sticky tape on in a second. So when we're switching over now, here we go. You can see me. I'm going to start putting sticky tape here. Anyway, this game, it was interesting in that it was very tactical. I had to pull a whole bunch of tricks off to prevent damage from his big boys unit. Anyway, Michael took first. He pushed up. I wouldn't have personally taken first. I would have gone. I tried to go second in this matchup. Because taking first, he did a bit of damage, but it meant that he was always playing reactively, and because he had the OBSEC units over me, he didn't really need to do that. I think that's the main thing. The other thing I did in placing the objectives, so this is another key one, and I'll just let you watch the game, kind of, you can see how the movement's going, etc. I've got, you saw the intro, I've got the characters kind of surrounding the grotesques, etc. And just kind of bubbling out, always making sure he can't jump in my back lines as much as possible. But the objectives, because we're playing ITC Mission 4, and I love ITC Mission 4. To me, is the best mission, is the funnest mission, because it mixes the ETC where you place the objectives with ITC, which is just a normal ITC champion missions, and it's a bit tactical. And I talk about this in my training, where this one right in front of me, I placed it right there to block off where Michael could put his one that he had to put in my deployment zone. So the first one I placed was right here, because it meant, because we're playing Vanguard, he couldn't put anything where my tape measure is right now. He couldn't put any objectives there, which is probably be better for him. because of you can't be within 12 inches of another thing, and it has to be in my deployment zone, and it has to be 6 inches away from a table edge. So I actually measured that out, and I said, right, if I place it here, he can't place it anywhere in this kind of back corner, the one that he has to place in my deployment zone. So that meant he placed it in the top, kind of the side left, which is perfect for me. Like, it meant that I held 3 objectives, the center one and those 2, to his 2. And this is again why I wouldn't have taken first turn, because I'm more than likely always going to be holding more objectives. I can get the bonuses pretty quickly. You can see the one I placed in his deployment zone is very close. Like, you know, if I switch it to Hammer and Anvil, which is how this game pretty much ends, I'm holding 4 objectives, plus I'm getting the bonus almost every turn. And that's really what does it in for Michael. It's like the objective placement meant that I'm getting those hold more objectives, or the bonus objectives, more often than not. While I'm not necessarily getting kill more, or you know, more than say kill 1, the way this army works is bullying people off. You know, like I'll bully people off certain objectives and saying you can't come here. And if I get second turn, it's even better for me. Now, Michael, he used his little Tide of Trader thing for the Orks, because I get an Ork unit down to, I think, like 3 models or something like that. He regenerates all of them, and then makes another charge. I interrupt, so I make 1 unit fight last, and then I interrupt and I kill a huge bunch of them. And that's pretty much it. So the main thing I'm working on in this game here is limiting damage, limiting position from the jumps through all my ranges and everything like that. Looking to get kill 1, looking to bully off objectives, and just slowly slog my way through up into all the guns. The guns I'm not too worried about. While they do d6 damage and they can hurt, the 4-up invo that I've got, it can be a bit spiky and negate pretty much all the damage. Whereas something like looters, like in the game against Liam, which you'll see in a second, they hurt much more. Because neg 1 to me, I ignore because I've got the 4-up invo, and they're not doing it for the negs. They're doing it for the flat. I think it's 2 damage and 1 million shots that somehow split into other bullets and just. To me, the funniest thing, and hopefully I'll talk about, but just bomb squigs with the Daka rule, how they somehow breed on the way through and they become more than 1 bullet. I will never understand that. Anyway, this game, I think we just talked through the last turn. This is why some of the models, just stay here. We'll just say, I get kill, or I kill all of his gun units, because I've got 2 turns to do it, but we weren't prolonging anything. And Michael's looking to just get some kills with his the plane. Alrighty, so round 5, I played Jeremy. So you can see in the background of this picture, Jeremy, myself, bending over, and the camera. I didn't get an intro on this, and for some reason, I think the camera also fell over in this one, but for some reason it didn't record, which is a real shame because it was a very interesting game, and actually Jeremy beat me. This is not me trying to not have video evidence of him beating me, but conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat. Anyway, the game itself, our start was a little bit disjointed just because we both needed to go to the bathroom and we only had a really short period of time in between. And so Jeremy went first and I deployed my army. So this is the agreement that we came up with. I deploy my army and he goes to the bathroom. We swap. I go to the bathroom and he deploys his army, which meant that Jeremy had full, in essence, vision of my army, even though he had less drops than me. And that way he could see where my army was and measure exactly to shoot everything. Now, I mentioned this just because it was a bit relevant, but it's not to take anything from his game. I did deploy a bit too aggressively with my grotesques. So I reserved 2 of my grotesque unit, and the 1 grotesque unit I deployed just a little bit back from the line, but still too close for what it really needed to be. And Jeremy, he won first turn, got it. He pushed up, and 2 units of Deathwatch and double shooting wyverns, mortars, and the crashed, big cannon dude. What's it called? Not the Castellan, the whatever it's called, the Crusader. It very easily kills a unit of 10 grotesques and then starts plinking away at characters. So unfortunately, it meant that I was playing on the back foot from turn 1 because he destroyed that unit, killed a few of my characters. I had to fall back. He managed to kill Aeldari, because Aeldari would, again, just like the Harlequin game, Aeldari is an absolute beast against elite type armies. And Aeldari died turn 2, Jeremy's turn 2, without really doing anything against Jeremy. And that was pretty much it. I managed to pull it back. It was still only a small win to Jeremy, because I managed to do some really cool little tricks, and this is what really annoys me. The video became corrupted or didn't record for some reason, just because I made a charge into his kind of back corner. I mean, the way I angled it meant that I would remain in combat, but he couldn't fall back. Just, some really cool melee tricks to limit the amount of damage that Jeremy could or had already done. And I think the end result was 27-23 or 24 to Jeremy. So he got up by a couple of points. It was a very close game, and I really enjoyed it. And that was pretty much it. So that was my first loss for CanCon, and we'll go into round 6. Alrighty, round 6 versus Joshua Brody. And his Plague Bearer spam with a whole bunch of Bloodletters coming in. And Bellicor hiding back there. And we're playing mission 6. Now I've deployed. Sorry for the no intro last round. It was a good game nonetheless. Alrighty, so round 6. Josh had just played on stream against Liam. I believe that was what just happened that last round. And got his first loss as well, so we end up matching up against each other. He deploys his army, makes me go first, which is the correct choice, I believe, because neither of us have shooting pretty much. So wanting the bottom of turn, it's always an important thing. This is a bit of a tough matchup for Josh, just because, I don't know, like, the Plague Bearers are great, but I don't know if he had enough Plague Bearers to get through the amount of grots that I had. It's a tough one. I'll probably have to play it a few more times to know which is the better matchup. However, he made a little mistake. So this is his turn. He just did his turn 1. He fully surrounds Bellicor, fully surrounds his Demon Prince. So I can't get a charge with a Blitz, Solitaire, etc, etc. So my turn 1, I'm just positioning. I'm not engaging, I'm just positioning, getting a hold 1, holding the middle one, etc. And then I notice he's left a big gap, it's about 1.5 inches gap where my Solitaire just Blitz to his 3 characters behind the tree. So right in that center bit there, and as soon as I started measuring towards it, he went, "Oh no!" And so I blitz over. I have to. I don't know if it was a bait or not, but I had to do it, because once I get rid of those characters, it means I can start actually, digging huge chunks into his Plague Bearer army. When he's only rolling 1d6 on his morale, only not doing any plus strength or getting -1 to hit or any of that stuff. So I charge one side of his army. I'm just looking to get the kill 1, push him off this bottom objective, kind of turn it into hammer and anvil, which is what it is. Is what it ends up being. Really, because I just can't fight. He's got too many models. I can't fight on every front, so I need to push him kind of off one side and hold the middle, because that's kind of how this army works. It's dominate, bully people off objectives, and then just kind of control it, kind of like a Death Star. Anyway, Solitaire with 2 swings manages to kill 2 characters and have 1 guy left on 1 wound. He doesn't fall back from me in the tree. I believe the tree actually kills me, which means I then Midnight Sorrow, 2 CP, and kill the last character. Yeah, because it's at the start of the movement phase. The tree, yeah. So the tree killed me while I was still in combat with that one last herald, and it actually worked against him. That to me, that was the icing on the cake, and Josh wasn't too pleased about this. Now, the plague bearers are still a pain in the absolute ass to kill, even with hitting on. So I'm hitting on 2s, which goes back to 3. So even with the kind of Dark Elder, slowly getting better and better as the turns go along, they're still a pain to kill. I'm really just waiting to see where the Bloodletters drop in. They drop in the top, at the top, well away from my main kind of base of the center grotesques. And to me, I say, great, that's perfect. Now I can control kind of what they're doing, where they are. They kill a unit of rangers. They're in combat, so they can't be shot, but I don't really care. I managed to make a long charge with a grotesque unit. I managed to touch that Bloodletter unit. I kill most of them, because that's a big focus for me. It's just control the Plague Bearers, kill the Bloodletters. That's kind of what I'm looking to do, and make it so I don't need to worry about my back lines at the back left. Sorry, on the bottom left of your screen, kind of on the left. And that's it. I'm just creating space. You can see kind of where all my ranges are. I'm not really shooting any of them. I'm just making it so he can't deep strike anywhere. He can't get to my back lines. I don't have to worry about him there. Just pushing him slowly. Everything on the left-hand side of the screen is dead on Josh's board. And that's pretty much how this game's going. I'm just slowly pushing up. And he's at the end he has this Khorne Demon Prince, which charges into me, kills a whole bunch of dudes. I then countercharge and eventually kill it. Be'lakor in the center, right in front of Josh, and a big unit of Plague Bearers, and one little Khorne Demon, not Demon Prince, a Herald. On the bottom left. The Herald gets sniped out eventually by all those snipers, and by now I'm starting to get my bonus points, and I'm just pushing up into the rest of Josh's army. By turn, what turn is this? Where is my little dice? My big dice, sorry. I'm not sure, but I think this is turn probably 4. Maybe 5. I know I tabled Josh at turn 5, so if this is turn 4, I'm starting to clear off. He's just got 1 unit left, and then my turn 5, I charge everything into the last unit of Plague Bearers, and then we call it there. So overall, I think I played this very well. For Josh, I probably wouldn't have deep struck the Bloodletters up the top. All they killed was a unit of rangers and some racks. I don't think that's a good enough trade. I think if you're going to engage with them, get at least 1 unit of what's it called, the grotesques. You need to have that swap. Anyway, moving on to the next game. Alright, round 7, versing my friend Liam, another Godhammer guy.
Not wearing my shirt today.
Oh dear. Alright, and versing his Orks. So this is what I played this army at HammerCon. Again, sorry for the footage being just too dark, I couldn't use it. He smashed me. I haven't been able to beat this. Army yet, so it's going to be a good test of mine. We're playing Table Quarters, Mission 1. I put a whole bunch of stuff in reserve. I've tried to deploy really protectively, because Liam's army hurts. Very much so. Alright, so Liam and his shenanigans that he pulls with his bloody Orks. So as I said in the intro, I still haven't been able to beat this army, and this game was no different. Liam, he deploys down the bottom hand side with his looters. I deploy out of line of sight. He's got the redeploy Warlord trait, which is very, very underrated in the Orks. To redeploy D3, which he managed to roll 3. Gets his big unit of looters and grots up the top. And he's shooting at my grotesques. So when I say grots now in this game, it'll be actual little grots versus grotesques. All his shooting managed to almost kill all my grotesques, which is very unfortunate. I've tried something a bit different and deep struck my 2 of my units of grotesques because I'm just trying to limit damage. Now, I thought I did very well with my bubbles. So he did the jump, managed to charge into a ranger squad. You can see, you know, I've prevented the jumps around my back lines. That's the kind of the struggle with this list, where you got to protect from both shooting and combat. There's lots of things that you got to think about when playing against this list of Liams. He actually whiffs completely in his charge phase, whereas the unit of Mega Knobs don't actually kill a single unit, a single model of Rangers, and he had to spend 3 CP to swing again to actually kill them. Now I'm setting up a bit of a long charge here on my Troop Master, and I've set up my Warlock to jinx them, Eldrad to come over, Doom, Smite, Executioner, etc., and then make a big ass charge. Well, it's only an 8-inch charge, sorry, it's not a big charge, it's an 8-inch charge with my Troop Master who's, you know, powered up. Unfortunately, this is where Lady Luck turns this game from this will be a pretty tough game but a good game to, okay, I can't win this game but I'll do my best. So my Warlock, who flies over next to Eldrad, he rolls a 1/1. So I've got a Warlock on the bike, so specifically so I don't perils and die. I roll a 1/1, I re-roll, and I roll another 1. So I've perils. How many wounds? 3. No Ulthway saves made. So my Warlock dies. Doesn't get Jinx off, of course. And then after that happens, I explode. I do 3 wounds onto Eldrad. I don't make any Feel No Pain, you know, from mortal wound saves onto Eldrad. And so he takes all 3. Liam then runs in, advances, I think he advances, but anyway, runs in to shoot into Eldrad, causes 7 wounds on Eldrad with his big shooters, or shooters. I fail 3, a CP reroll 1, still fail 3, and Eldrad dies. So Eldrad, Eldrad also failed Doom on that unit. So I didn't get any benefit from Eldrad or the Warlock. I didn't make my charge from my Troop Master. I'm sure it was an 8-inch charge, but I used the CP reroll as well to make that charge. And so a lot of bad things didn't go my way on my turn 1, which made this game very, very difficult. I never give up. I never gave up though. I continued to defend against the jumps. I kept on, because I had the bottom of turn, I could control when I was scoring hold more, etc. And my guys dropped in. I didn't make the top charge, which was really unfortunate. Had I made that top charge, I think I could have still pulled it back, because I would have gotten kill more this turn, or the turn that they dropped in on my turn 2. Regardless, my Solitaire blitzed in, killed a whole bunch of little grots, sorry, not grotesques, and Liam managed to kill quite a few grotesques there without losing any of his grots. Down the bottom here, I'm defending against his Mega Knob unit. They eventually kill that unit there, but it takes him a little bit of time. And I'm just focusing on his firepower, just trying to limit damage as much as possible. My Solitaire survives, so Liam's about to charge now with Tank Busters, and my Solitaire survives, I think, on 1 wound or something like that. It was quite humorous. And then most of the Tank Busters died in return. And then I eventually get through into his looters, and I kill all the looters. So pretty much all of his firepower dies on my turn. I believe this is my turn 3, possibly 4. And so the turn starts to, the turns start to now swing, because I'm now limiting damage. I'm controlling the flow. I've got bottom of turn, so I can control kind of how many I need to hold, etc., etc. One of the other fun things that happened to Liam was he perils on one of his casters. The perils guy dies and explodes and causes multiple wounds on his mech guns. Now this becomes very important in our turn 4, I think, our turn 4, where I split my sniper attacks and I managed to, yeah, here we go, he's about to come in, he dies, explodes and causes wounds on everyone else, and then I come in and I cause like a couple of wounds, like a mortal wound here, a couple of wounds there, and I actually kill 3 characters in one turn. So I get my headhunter points, I get the kill more for that turn, and I'm holding more. So it's a huge swing on, I believe it's turn 4, maybe turn 5, but that turn is a huge swing back to me, and I get within, I think, 2 points at that time. Liam makes a huge charge. He does the reroll and makes a huge charge to tag my homunculus. So you can see my homunculus slowly moving up the top, and getting into combat, killing things. I stand into this. It was like the magic box. It's like an enclosed building, because I'm looking to charge his back lines. There's a grot on one model grot, so that's like a kill there. I can hold his back objective, etc., etc. Liam makes an 11-inch charge after rerolls, tags my homunculus just to prevent because I have no more CP, to prevent the fallback and do anything. Which is extremely smart. Like, that's what he needed to do. He's just using he doesn't care about the damage, he's just limiting my movement and my ability to change the outcome. In the end, Liam wins by 3 points, and I never gave up. Had I had Eldrad and the Jinx guy, that would have been a completely different game, but them's... Alright, round 8, versing Ben, and his Filthy Death Guard. Mortarion, a whole bunch of characters, and lots of Blight Lord and what are they called? Death Shroud. Death Shroud, that's it. And some of the thingamajigs. So I versed Ben twice with his previous incarnations, and then he's made modifications. I reckon tailoring just for me. So that's how I've deployed.
You told me to do.
That's right. So how I've deployed. So we've got Rangers. Mission ITC mission 2, and 1 unit of Grotesque in reserve. Versing Ben, one of the guys, is now on the Queensland ATC team. At the time, he was still trying out, and this was definitely one of the games that kind of changed my mind about how quickly he had improved his gameplay, because I'd played different variations of this list in kind of the training days. And he took on board the feedback that I gave him about his list, and not to be too aggressive with him when not needed, and just slowly trying use the durability of his list to grind out wins against my particular army. And he took it all to heart. He won the roll to go first. He gave me first turn, which is 100% correct. As you saw, I moved very little. I caused a little bit of damage from shooting. Now this came to what Ben's kind of deployment. There was a little mistake, and his kind of movement for the first and second turn, meant that he left a gap, kind of on the left-hand side here. He's left a gap there for his characters, and I wait out until turn 3 before deep striking, because I'm waiting for him to be a little bit too aggressive, so that I can go in with my unit. I've got 1 unit of Grotesques in reserve, and I want to kind of dive with that unit into his characters, because his characters make his army, right? Because he's pretty much just got Plague Burst Crawlers, characters, and Terminators. Terminators is what I focused on through Doom, Jinx, Executioner, all that type of stuff. I'm looking to kill Terminators, limit their damage, and I know that I'm going to be taking a hit from Mortarion soon. I save any deny ability for Death Hex, which I managed to... actually, he didn't manage to cast it, but anyway, I was saving that deny from Eldrad. And now this is the turn. So this is the turn that Ben decides to engage me. This is his turn 3. Yeah. Oh no, his turn 2. Sorry, I deep strike on turn 3. His turn 2. He pushes up his Plague Beast Crawler just a little bit too far on the left here, and you can see on the kind of left hand screen, he's slowly transitioning his the big, what they call, they're different types of Terminator dudes. They're slow ones. They're like 4 inches. He's moving him along to the left, but he's just not doing him fast enough. And so all of his characters can be charged from that unit of Grotesque that's just deep struck. I managed to make a big charge. That's always a benefit. But when I can get in, I surround them all, limit what they can do, limit their movement, and then also manage to kill them, because I'll spend the 2 CP. I'll strike first with them. I'll spend the 2 CP. Sorry, I can't strike first with him because of his character. But I do spend the 2 CP to reroll wounds on that unit. So I get quite a bit of damage through on there. Mortarion, he does quite a bit of damage. He didn't kill all of... when he got buffed up, when he charged in, he was fully buffed up. He killed quite a few Grotesques. Next turn, he doesn't get all his buffs happening, and he only manages to kill, I think, 1 Grotesque, which is very unfortunate. But then the following turn, so his turn 5, he gets fully buffed up and then almost kills an entire unit by himself. So Mortarion, when he's buffed, can do a whole bunch of damage. When he's not buffed, can completely whiff, which was very disappointing for young Ben. My snipers pretty much get to sit unmolested in the top right-hand corner. I'm just holding my back objective. I'm kind of creating a bait, because I want him either with Mortarion to turn back into my big units and where all my characters are, or go after my snipers. Either or is going to be beneficial for me. Beneficial for Ben. But it means that if he engages into the snipers, I have free range and I'm getting bonus points, because you have to hold the middle and your opponent's objective to get the bonus. So I made the kind of my back objective tasty enough that he might want to go towards there, which meant I would start getting bonus points. Anyway, the game kind of devolves at this point where I'm just surrounding Plague Beast Crawlers, killing characters, and just slowly eating away at Ben's army. I picked the wrong secondary. I didn't really need to go for Big Game Hunter in this one. I should have gone Recon and Behind Enemy Lines to get the kind of max points, because I think I only managed to kill 1 Plague Beast Crawler, and Ben did really well in kind of splitting out that unit of Grotesques and not making it move, and just where he was slowly positioning things, and Mortarion cleaning up that back unit. Most of my characters die in the next 2 turns, because Mortarion kind of goes ham, makes a whole bunch of... so I get Jinx off, I get Doom off on Mortarion, but you can't really stop the 5+ Disgusting Resilience. Ben made quite a few of them, and I never got Mortarion down to, I think 7 wounds is what I got him down to, which is just not enough, even with all the snipers shooting at him eventually. I do, however, focus on the rest of his army. I kill everything else, but Ben ends up with 3 Plague Beast Crawlers and Mortarion left on the board, whereas I've got 1 big unit of Grotesques and the rest of my snipers holding my back objective. Because I got bonuses for 3 turns, I believe, I managed to just get the win. So Ben, he got a 3-point loss, so he managed to pull it back. So there was a big swing on my turn 3 and then turn 4, but then turn 5 and 6 I almost scored nothing, just hold 1. I didn't get a kill, etc. Anyway, overall I thought Ben played very, very well. Some minor mistakes, but other than that, he didn't rush it, and he managed to grind me back out to within 3 points. Didn't rush it. Alright guys, so I finished 6-2. As you saw, got the win over Ben, and here is CanCon. The game is still finishing, packing up, but 6-2, I'm happy with that. Don't know what I'm coming, you'll see the results in a second, but I had fun. Bye. I really enjoyed the event as a whole. It's sometimes rare that you can get 8 games in a really highly competitive tournament. where you enjoyed every single game and you had fun, and it was very sporting. Letting your opponent take back a few things. Not being too strict, playing clean games, but not being super anal about what your opponent's doing, and having an enjoyable time. And not every event you can do that, but I was really, really happy that traveling down to Canberra, versing 8 players, and I enjoyed every single one of my games. Anyway, overall, I came 11th, so with a record of 6-2. 11th overall. The bye round in the round 1 hurt a little bit, because the way that they ruled it was the bye, you get 22 points, which is a very minor win. 44 is the max you can get in a game, and so I got 22. And had I gotten, say, 6 more points, I would have jumped 7 places, which reasonably easy to do. Anyway, as I said, you can't play the shoulda game, because had I got those 6 points, I would have maybe played different opponents, etc. Overall, though, really good time for the Godhammer team, so the team that I'm in. Eric Lathoris, he came first overall. Then another 2 of the Godhammer guys, Hayden Waldock and Liam Hackett, they came 3rd and 4th, or equal 3rd, but 3rd and 4th on the rankings, respectively. I came 11th, and then Mick Larkin, he came 35th, with a 5-3, I believe. So we got 8-0, 7-1, 7-1, 6-2, 5-3. So very good showing for Godhammer. We came best team overall at the event. Lots of swag, and I think this was a very successful and enjoyable CanCon.